The 2011 legislative session is over. We have lawmakers here ready to give their take on how it went. And we have some of the Capitol Press Corps here to say how what their view is from where they sat. Welcome to The Real Story. I'm Lori Perez. It wasn't always pretty. Lawmaking rarely is, but it is done. And now we will see how the action taken during the legislative session will affect the way we live, work, and play here in Connecticut. This was a highly anticipated session for Democrats with the first Democratic governor in 20 years. But the question is, was it all they hoped it would be? Here to help answer that is Senator Steve Cassano and Representative Gary Holder Winfield. There beside them at the session and here tonight, current Capitol Bureau Chief Chris Keating. Thanks to all of you for being here. If we could start off just giving your initial reaction to how you think the action taken during the session, how it leaves Connecticut.
Sure. Well, I think Connecticut's in a better place than it was a month ago. We have struggled. It seems that we've gone backwards in every kind of measurable statistic for the last 20 years. And so I think the legislature joined the governor, and we bit the bullet to do what was right to take us out of this hole. And the real evaluation will be a year from now as we go into the second year of the budget to see if, in fact, the bold steps that were proposed by the governor and done by the legislature, in fact, are meaningful.
So, I would agree with Senator Cassano. I think that, sometimes from the outside, it looks like the legislature is not taking some of the actions people would like them to take. But I think people within the legislature made some difficult decisions and worked with the governor in a way that perhaps we haven't worked with the governor in the past. And I think it will set the state of Connecticut on the right path.
I wanted to ask you both about the tax increase. Both the Republicans and some in the business community have complained about the largest tax increase in state history. I wanted to get perspective from both of you on that. And do you think that the amount of revenues that are projected to come in will actually come in?
Well, we have to have some confidence in OPM. I've known the director, Ben Bonds, for several years. He was brilliant in what he did at Stanford. I think he's going to be able to do the same thing with Connecticut. Let's be clear, nobody likes this budget. The governor doesn't like it. None of us that voted for it like it. But after what we have gone through for so long and seeing what other states have done, it was a decision that we have to move forward. We have to get rid of the gimmicks and fund the state of Connecticut. And hopefully we'll start to see relief from that as things get better.
I think people will often talk about you need to cut. You look at New Jersey, they made several cuts which they had to go back and not do, particularly with education. I don't think any of us want a tax. I don't like taxes. Most people don't like taxes. But I think, taxes are one of the ways that we control an economy. And we should be responsible with what we do with taxes. But it's something that we need to use. I think if we made too many more cuts, some of the other aspects of government would not work. And so you have to balance all of that, and it's difficult, and we have to go out now and explain to people why we did what we did, but I think we did the right thing.
How confident are you that this deal is going to be approved? I mean, there's been lots of talk about it. I don't know if that's just conjecture.
Well, if you talk to the person on the street, depending on who you're talking to, some have a job and some don't. Most people are, their response is very simple. I would rather have my job. If it means no increase for 3 years and some changes, that's a lot better than unemployment for 99 weeks and no job after that. And that's part of the process we're going through now. We're starting to see business hiring. We're starting to see signs of recovery. It goes up and down. If I'm a state employee, I'm going to give it second thought before I talk about rejecting it, because a rejection means really wholesale reduction across the board. And we're already down almost 2,000 employees. I mean, we have a lot of departments that are they're simply dysfunctional. They're so understaffed. Some areas are fine, but with the early retirement programs and everything else, the state is not doing the job it's supposed to be doing in a lot of ways as it is. That would be disastrous for us.
And I think that early on, before you see what the proposal really is, it's easy to talk about this and talk about your desire to reject it. I think when faced with reality, many of us change our position on things. As Senator Cassano says, we're down a significant number of state employees. not doing this would reduce the number of state employees and impact the functions that government have. And I think some of the union members, when they look at it, if the leadership of the unions are doing a good job of explaining it, come to realize this is the course that we should be going down.
How about paid sick leave? That was pretty controversial. 18-17 vote in the Senate, Senator. And there's a lot of, I won't say hype, but a lot of charges on both sides. How do you think that will turn out?
Well, when I campaigned, I said I would support paid sick leave. And it was reduced so it was basically service injuries. Industries, and we have a daycare center. My wife's been running this for 30 years. If kids are sick, we send them home. If employees are sick, we pay them to stay home. If parents are sick, we keep them out of the building. That same philosophy is what this bill's all about. I don't want to go into a restaurant and have somebody serve me food who's got typhoid or whatever the disease is, or some kind of illness or sickness, and that's where this is directed, to the service industries. It does not affect manufacturing or anybody else, and I think it's a great investment for the state of Connecticut and a healthier state.
Well, I was a supporter of paid sick days in its original incarnation. I think it's a good idea. I also think that the discussion has focused on things that might not necessarily be true. So people weren't informed that there are alternatives to doing paid sick days in a way that we think about it. So if you have vacation time and you allow your employees to use that, you could use vacation time in lieu of sick time. I think that the discussion was not as fruitful as it should have been. I think paid sick time to most people, when you actually think about what we're intending to do, is a good policy. It's a matter of how we do it. And I think that the way that the bill was ultimately constructed was a good way of approaching that subject.
Another highly contested bill was for the expansion and the renovation of the UConn Health Center. And Republicans said it's not the time to be spending that kind of money. While they supported the concept of investing in bioscience technology and research and making Connecticut a center, they didn't agree with the dollar figures. And they also worried, of course, about the competition between hospitals, how it would draw patients away. I mean, what were your concerns?
Well, the initial concern was the Greater Hartford region and what it would do to the region. But I know that the governor had discussions, two, in fact, separate meetings with the leaders of St. Francis and Hartford Hospital. They have worked out some agreements where both would benefit. One of the things I know St. Francis and Hartford both have been looking at the ability to try and provide research opportunities for their doctors. They'll have an agreement to do that as a part of this process. When we have Pfizer taking 400 people to go to Massachusetts, to go to Cambridge, surrounded by a knowledge corridor that focuses on research and so on in this industry, that was a wake-up call. And if that doesn't tell us that it's time to get caught up with the times, then nothing will. And so it was a bold step. It was a quick step. The money is going to be spent in a period of time. It's not going to be spent this year, and I'm glad they did it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Up next, we're going to continue our look at the first session in 20 years with the Democrat at the helm and whether it made a difference. Stick around.